Podcast is intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
ThaBoxingvoice.com. When I say I promise you, I'm gonna knock out the Gypsy King as well.
Dollar DVLC Productions.
How am I gonna let this little skinny spaghetti hit man make me?
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Yeah, I'm just don't lie and I'm that guy. And I'm the dog with this.
When I stepped on the scene, I said I wanted this road. I said I wanted that road.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
You know, so I'm still on the mission.
I'm gonna chase his ass all the way up there.
I told him it's an easy bracket, man.
Some of them like it, some of them don't. ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Good morning, TPV, and welcome back to another morning edition. Today officially begins fight week for Keith Thurman and Josecito Lopez. Me and Ron will be on hand in New York City at Gleason's on Front Street. But before then, we're going to give you our morning show half an hour earlier just to bring you this hot breaking news, right? I mean, Manny Pacquiao versus Adrien Broner officially or unofficially does more pay-per-view buys than Wilder Fury. This is what we're going to be discussing. Manny Pacquiao, still a pay-per-view star, according to some writers. We'll give you the actual quotes from these writers pertaining to this subject. And again, our opinion. So we got a full panel hailing from all different parts of the globe. So let's head on out to them. But first, the number to call in is 1-425-569-5241 or add Nestor Gibbs on Skype. Wherever Skype is used, download it absolutely free on your Google Play Store or your iPhone app store. And it's absolutely free. While you're there, download the Patreon app to get exclusives. Because yesterday we did a film study on Evander Holyfield versus who the heck was it? Oh my God, not really George Foreman.
Foreman.
George Foreman. What a fucking fight. When heavyweights were great. Listen, we had a fantastic time. Check it out. Only on Patreon. I'm a guy that doesn't like to go back and watch fights, but you know, this one was recommended. Ron was excited. We went back and did it. And man, Evander, bro, I knew there was a reason I love that guy. He sure lived up to it. But that's for Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice for exclusive content every single day. Plus, there's over a dozen Axe posts. What are Axe posts? Ask Josecito Lopez a question. Ask Keith Thurman a question. Ask Chris Colbert a question. Ask the guy that's fighting Claudio Moreno a question. Ask Claudio Marrero a question. Ask so many people a fucking question. So head on over to patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice and go ahead and put in your question to have me and Ron ask today at the media workout. Now, back to the show.
It's me, Mario.
What up? Yeah, man, a little earlier than normal, but we're giving it to everybody. You know, had to come through with these pay-per-view numbers, talk about them, what they all mean in regards to Pacquiao's old numbers, in regards to the pay-per-view numbers we've seen recently with people such as Wilder, the numbers in relation to what they might mean towards the Earl Spence, Mikey Garcia, just the whole climate of boxing. I think that these numbers are telling, and at the same time, I've never been a guy that put too much stock in to pay-per-view numbers, but yeah, you know, I definitely want to get into it. Definitely want to get y'all guys out on the road so y'all can you know, hit that pavement.
ThaBoxingvoice.com.
I've been doing this. I ain't been up and fell off. I've been through the Lennox Lewis era, the Nassim Hamed era, the Sugar Shane Moser era, the Oscar De La Hoya era, Mark Anthony era. I've been through all the eras, and I still been
How much you talking? You do
talking?
too much talking. The thing is this.
People want their subjective preference to be the objective reality.
HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Yo, good morning. We're going to have a nice, fun topic, a little less drama-free, hopefully, this morning. We're going to switch gears. We're definitely going to talk about some numbers. Now, with this being said, Manny Pacquiao hasn't fought on American pay-per-view in more than 2 years, and his numbers weren't near as 400,000 back then. So we're going to dissect and look how Manny Pacquiao did, and also Adrien Broner, probably like the second or third highest Showtime viewership boxer, you would say, in the last 2 years, did on his first pay-per-view, and see if this was a great success. Did you expect this? Was this a dump? Did it flop? We'll go into all that. So let's start the show.
I guess my first question to you guys is based off the numbers that two different reporters are reporting. Ron, if you could just pull those up so we could give those tweets and, let people know who and where this is coming from. Then we'll move on.
Sure. I got so there's been two reports. One of the reports came from Keith Idec saying that it slightly did better than Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And Mike Coppinger seems to have a little bit more specific numbers, saying that pay-per-view buys tracking at over 400,000. More will be clear later this week. But if the third numbers hold up, that's a commercial success for PBC and Showtime. Manny's is still drawing. That was a tweet that Mike Coppinger, obviously a PBC inside, but is also the Ring Magazine, Boxing Insider kind of editorial.
Now, anything from ESPN, have they picked up any of these stories? Because usually Dan or one of the guys at ESPN sees a story and then calls their own, whoever they know in the camp to try and get their own quote. Have they followed up?
Well, Boxing News has definitely reported on it, and a few other smaller websites. They're all reporting over 400,000, but no, not yet. ESPN,
right, so,
usually, Rafael, you waits until it's official.
So for us here, what are we going to run with? We're running with 400 or over 400 for conversation purposes?
I'm going to say at least a benchmark of 400. I think that's I don't think it's going to get that much higher than 400 if that's what they're estimating is slightly over 400. I think that's a good basis. I think anything between 4 and 425 is A, reasonable, and B, relatively, the same for argument purposes.
I have different opinions, but before I get to that, now that we have a number, sort of a benchmark where we can go off, I just want to ask you guys, is there any residual effect for Adrien Broner? Can he now do his own pay-per-view even in losing because of the number, or is the number not good enough to branch out on your own?
I don't know. It's pretty tough. Based off the performance, maybe the lackluster event, these things tend to sometimes harm fighters to get the opportunity to fight better guys. But then again, we've seen fighters have lackluster pay-per-views and still get it. So I think it just truly depends on his dance partner. I think if it's Adrien Broner, nobody, then no. But if it's Adrien Broner and maybe someone on the rise, you would say, because Adrien Broner's, regardless, this is not the first time we've seen Adrien Broner in these positions. You're always going to watch him. There's always going to be a group of people who's always going to feel a certain type of way. And it just really depends on his dance partner.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you said it perfectly. I think right now, no. Answer is no. The performance was too lackluster. He ended up losing. And, while the numbers are solid, I think they're good. I think they're both an indication of Manny Pacquiao's star power. It not being what it once was, but it's still being that he's Manny Pacquiao, and the fact that Broner captures the audience, the casual fan. He captures their minds. He captivates them. That's such an important thing in boxing that people forget. Prince Naheem, Morales, Barrera, like these guys. Well, maybe just that fight, not those men. But they captured audience's attention. They captivated them. They wanted to see, and Broner is that guy. So could he do a pay-per-view in the future coming off of a win for sure, or at least a better performance with the likes of Earl Spence? Sure. I definitely think he could do one with Crawford. I think that that would be big enough. He's doing one with Khan. Crawford's doing one with Khan, but there's like a lot of obviousness there. Khan is a bigger worldwide star. He's obviously a much better opponent, and so you got to throw those factors in. But he could absolutely, him and Thurman, him and Danny maybe borderline, but he's definitely, like Ron said, somebody who could. Ron didn't use the word gatekeeper, but it potentially is that thing. Somebody on the rise. They feed him to Broner, and while Broner might not have that Mayweather effect, that De La Hoya effect, he definitely is that solid B-side that you could stick on a pay-per-view.
Next question. If this were Mayweather versus Broner, would the numbers be better than 400?
I would say it would, just because of the fact that Mayweather still has this marketable O. You know, people want to see him lose. It's an episode you've never seen. You know, you've always seen the same Mayweather fights. You know, he boxes, he performs well. More recently, a little bit more entertaining because they've been with kickboxers and MMA. So you tend to see these more knockouts that you haven't seen from Floyd. But it's the O, the marketable O, what changed boxing to a degree. What casuals would know is the most known boxer of their era. So at this point, I feel that a Mayweather Broner trash talking fest and the imagination that people had of Broner coming back, being this better, more motivated fighter that has this huge opportunity against Floyd Mayweather, you know, if it had that same stigma they gave with Pacquiao, but with Floyd, of course, it's going to do better.
Other than Terrence Crawford, and not even maybe not even then, I have to consider Floyd still being the best welterweight until he proves otherwise. I've watched the sport way too long and have doubted Floyd for way too long to assume that he's not the best every time he comes into the ring. And until he shows that he's not, until he's aged overnight, I'm going to assume he is. So I think it definitely would be better. I think Floyd's star power has not dropped, if at all. It probably has definitely dropped because he's been out of the sport, but it hasn't dropped to the degree that Manny Pacquiao has. People remember the Marquez Pacquiao fight and Pacquiao being laid out. People remember the Jeff Horn stigma of him losing that decision. People remember these things. It sticks in people's minds. They want to pay to see the best. Okay. But bottom line, a fight with Broner, there is intrigue there. There's a backstory there. There is two people selling the fight. You know, Manny Pacquiao needed a comedian to go on Instagram and basically talk shit. You know, he needed people to not sell the fight for him, but essentially, yes, Broner was a one-man show. You know, he was the disrespectful one. He was the one coming in, you know, being arrogant and flashy and doing it for the hood on God and them. You know, he was the one creating sound bites. Manny was giving the same Manny performance PR-wise that he's always has, and I think that with Broner Mayweather, it would be a different story.
I mean, you also have to look at Pacquiao has a stan group at this point. As long as he's been around, he has a whole country behind him, a demographic that's always been faithful and loyal to Manny Pacquiao. So you got to add that in there, regardless of what he does. There's always going to be those stands of just Pacquiao fans. So it's a combination of both, you know. I mean, when Floyd fought Conor on his little special exhibition, yes, he did talking. But of course, it was a combination of Conor McGregor's talking and Floyd Mayweather's long doing in the sport. You know, this fan base and stands as well. So it becomes it gets to that point of a dance partner. You know, it always comes down to the dance partner. I would say that for Broner, if he doesn't become, you know, a fighter in someone else's, like you said, a Crawford or a Spence, because they are going towards pay-per-view, and depending on how they do, he should come back and rebuild, get that imagination again. He's been fighting, you know, Mikey Garcia. He's been fighting Manny Pacquiao. He's been fighting, you know, somewhat tougher opposition. And so if he continues to fight these other guys, he might have a chance to get on the high main events again like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Another question for you guys. So 400 pay-per-views, and that's because we have Broner. Is it because it was Broner and Manny? Would Manny do more with someone else? People knew, or at least I want to believe even casual fans knew Broner was not going to beat Manny. Even casual fans knew Broner isn't Floyd, and even casual fans knew that Broner probably was coming off a couple of losses because he's so popular that they know when he loses. So is it because of Broner, in fact, that this didn't get over 400 because they knew it wasn't a threat?
No, I don't think that's what it was per se. I do think that if it were a Spence, it might have been higher. Crawford, I think it might have been higher, maybe. But look, for all the talk that you just did, that maybe the casuals know that Broner wasn't a threat, maybe they know he wasn't Floyd. At the bottom line, the casuals know Broner. That's just where it's at. You know, they know who Broner is. They know what he brings. whether they understand or can fully comprehend the matchup before it started, whether they, gave him a realistic chance, I can't say. I think some of them probably did. I think a vast majority at least did not consider it the whitewash that it would end up being. I think a lot of them were disappointed heading into the 12th round. I think the only thing that they got their money's worth was the end, where he basically came out and, said ridiculously that he won the fight. I think that's what they were ending up paying for at the end, is this guy to be braggadocious. And so when you look at what the fight was and what it means, I think a lot of that 400,000 has to be given props to Broner. But as far as him being able to do better, I don't necessarily think so at this point. I think at this point, Manny Pacquiao would have to come out, be a serious opponent for us to take him serious, for him to have a big-time pay-per-view with Keith Thurman, a big-time pay-per-view with Spence, a big-time Crawford pay-per-view. Like, he has to go out and he has to become the A-side again, the absolute resounding A-side. He has to carry the fight. And right now, with him and Spence, with him and Crawford, with him and Thurman, that's just not the case. I think people would be excited for those fights, but I think you would find that they'd all roughly bring about 500,000, 400 to 500.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think the fear of, like, this was more like, I think, a support thing. Because when you look into it, many people did go, I was rooting for Broner. You can see it on many talk shows. I saw it on the Breakfast Club. Everyone pretty much seemed to bet against Broner, but they still came and tuned in. So the threat factor could have, if there was a threat factor, an equal playing level, it could have posed more buys, because I felt like there was a lot of people who didn't want to buy it because they felt it was so, one-sided in their head. When Floyd fought Andre Berto, the numbers weren't that different from this. And now I think that would have been a better market, because I think people are getting better at finding streams and getting these pay-per-views, a lot easier now.
Wasn't that fight like mid 500s?
I thought it was 400,000, Andre Berto and Floyd.
I'm just going off of what I remember. I haven't Googled anything.
Mike's saying 6.
Mike's saying 6.
6.
Man, he just woke up.
What are you talking about? Where you get that? Send that to me, Mike, because you definitely just woke up. All right, let's bring Mike in, man, so he can tell me what the 600,000.
Speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. I can't say it enough. I speak it, believe it.
2 attempts, handed bands over. Sicko hit, shot and miss. 2 to stand over. Turn up. Breadwinner, huh? Look who in the building. Let me check my Instagram. I might be at 1 million. And I'm in.
BoxingVoice.com.
Yo. Sorry about being tardy. You know what I'm saying? My laptop wasn't plugged up, so I had to wait until the bitch charged up. But Manny Pacquiao, Adrien Broner, over 400,000 buys. I mean, that's kind of to be expected when you have Adrien Broner, who's one of the biggest stars on Showtime behind Deontay Wilder, and Manny Pacquiao, who got a whole country and everybody else behind him. So 400,000, I was expecting maybe 5, but 4 is still a solid number. I believe that Ness had a interview with Steven Espinoza, and he told him anything over 250 or 275 is pretty good, and they break even. So with that being said, and that was for the heavyweight fight, and that's like maybe more money fight than the Adrien Broner. Well, I take it back, because on paper, Pacquiao got more of a guarantee than both of those guys got. So who knows? But
and we don't know how much the marketing campaign was either, right, Mike?
True.
But everyone.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna just go with my argument still being Pacquiao does better numbers if it's not Broner. Broner, has lost all his big fights. Add this one to another big fight. I went through his Instagram and I seen all the messages he received from his friends and family, and you know what? It was heartfelt, because it's true. One of the last messages was like, bro, from where we come from, you just fought Manny Pacquiao on pay-per-view. You good. And he is. He is. That in itself is a goal accomplished.
I hate when folks use that shit, bro.
What?
Where you come from, all right, bro.
That's true though.
You ain't been there in a while, though, homie. You know what I'm
It don't
saying?
matter. It don't matter.
It do matter, bro. When you're a professional athlete, you have a job to do. Your job is to come in there prepared. He did not come in the ring prepared.
It's a self-accomplishment, Mike. That's
how are you going to say he didn't come in there prepared? So now you got like eagle eyes? How did you know he wasn't prepared?
He didn't let his hands go.
And how does that have anything to do with preparation? Someone called in the other day, and I think they made the best point. After being hit by Maidana and suffering the knockdowns and stuff like that, he's reluctant to open up. That's why he's in this high guard getting, punched on by Mikey and everyone else, because he isn't throwing as many punches as he used to because he's afraid of getting hit.
Maybe he should go
support Mike's point, though.
Maybe she got to support psychiatrists. I mean, that they do exist and they do help with these kind of things. So.
Hey, I hear you, man. I wish you would have been this hard on Broner before the fight instead of leading his sheep on to believe that
I mean, I'll put it to you this way, though.
Manny on the show. I bet it on Manny.
No, you didn't. You didn't pick Manny on the show.
Every chance you got, you was yelling out on God and and we
yes. And this show part of entertainment.
You misled the people.
How did I mislead people by me being a casual and y'all having more experience than me?
Because by you saying, on God and them and all that, people assume that you're with Broner.
Did I make the distinction that I was going with my heart and not with my head?
No, what you made a distinction, what you didn't make a good enough distinction on was who you were actually picking. You only picked Manny Pacquiao on Thursday, and that was it. Every other day, you was talking.
I picked Broner on Thursday and Manny on Friday.
Look, I'll put it to you like this,
the build-up, the whole build-up of the whole event.
Yeah, the whole build-up pro Broner is all I'm saying, bro.
Yeah, but I'm going to support Mike here real quick.
Everybody bashing Broner.
I think that
everybody can bash Broner.
I think that this is what you got to do. You got to look at what happened in the fight, and for him to say he didn't let his hands go, I think that it's one of two ways. One, Ness is absolutely right. He came in, he felt the power, and he couldn't find a way. He couldn't find a way in. He couldn't find what he needed to be successful. Or at some point in the fight, he realized that he wasn't going to make it happen. And he said, you know what? I can go the decision. I can tell people I won the fight, and I can save face like that. So I think there was at some point, maybe he recognized in his mind that that was a better plan than going out and trying to win the fight, because it was either going to end in him losing by knockout or him just straight losing.
Look, it wasn't this overwhelming action-packed fight, So with the fight being somewhat anticlimactic, minus the obvious rounds that Broner got hurt, he probably felt he won more rounds than was probably said. His adrenaline was high, and when you look at it, it's Adrien Broner. He's definitely going to come in. He's going to try to fight his best. But when I grew up, I watched Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. was a certain type of fighter until he moved up in weight. Then after he fought these tough oppositions and got a little bit older, he never let his hands go as much as he used to. He never looked like the same Roy Jones. And I think a lot had to do with certain fights he's had later in his career. The Tarver fight clearly showed after that, when he fought Glenn Johnson and things like that. He wasn't fighting the same anymore. So I think the Maidana fight definitely played a big factor, being in the upper weight class, suffering that loss, and someone even getting embarrassed to do, because he hasn't been knocked down since that fight, right? Other fights, sure enough, he probably lost, but Maidana, he went down twice. So that was something he's experienced that he's never wanted to experience again, and never did experience it. And he did a successful job not getting knocked down. So,
Ness, I wanted to ask you, because you asked us if Mayweather does better with Broner. Do you think Mayweather does better with Broner? If we were to take Manny Pacquiao, completely take him out of the whole thing, go in the DeLorean.
I want people to know that Floyd hasn't lost, so his fights have a little bit more value. People know Manny's been knocked out a few times now, and then they know Broner's lost a few times. This is a blessing for those men to do this much. But I'll be honest and say I thought it was going to do more. I thought Broner was going to take him over the top. I guess not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a good number. It's a solid number. I think they could have hoped for a little bit more, being that Manny Pacquiao was coming off of the performance he was against at least a somewhat recognizable name as far as casuals go. and then it being Adrien Broner. But yeah, I agree. I think that Mayweather's fights are just going to be more thought of with a higher regard because he still is undefeated. But I think also Mayweather Broner just sells itself in a way that Pacquiao Broner doesn't necessarily.
I also think that we need to start looking at the market a little bit different, because I thought it was going to have a bigger number too. But basically what some of these people have been reporting, they're not reporting as a flop. They're not reporting as a failure or, not a successful event. So, sure enough, if this was like 6 years ago, I'm sure this would have been maybe closer to the 800,000, 900,000, maybe break a million. Like, who knows? So I think this is now a time where people are getting more legal streams. People are getting savvier when it comes to this technology. And, these pay-per-view prices are high, really high.
That's a good point.
I think that we need to look at this market once again and assess what would be successful and what's not. This did better than Wilder and Fury, slightly more. I can't really translate that enough because this is Manny Pacquiao, right? Adrien Broner is the second Showtime. So,
and that's my thing. That's my thing. You see, Mario's like, oh no, this is right on par. And I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. The fact that it did better than Wilder Fury doesn't say much. Fury isn't from the US. Fury isn't Adrien fucking Broner. Let's remember who the A side in that pay-per-view was. Wilder. Who's the A side in this pay-per-view? Manny. Could those two be compared? No fucking way. Manny is a global icon. Wilder is just starting. Okay.
Well,
so the comparison that the writer made, because we're not comparing it, he compared it, and because he compared it, I think that it's a failure. Manny Pacquiao is double the size of Wilder and Fury put together, let alone with a B-side like Adrien Broner.
Well, listen, I'll put it to you like this. Every single pay-per-view star, the longer they fight past their prime, the worse their numbers get. It's just, that's bottom line. Even Floyd's numbers against Berto, I mean, it's all about the fight. It's all about the perceived competition, like you said earlier. But I want to get back to Ron's point and basically your point. We have to assess the market. And what the market's always dictated is 1 million buys is hard to do. Like, this isn't some benchmark that people hope to get to. That's a tough number. It's always been a tough number. It doesn't even matter about, I'm not gonna say illegal streams don't matter and the cost doesn't matter. It absolutely does. Makes it harder, but take that out of the equation and 1 million buys is still hard to do. 1 million buys is left reserved for the elite fights with the elite fighters. Cotto Canelo was an elite fight when it happened. When these heavyweights were doing 1 million, they were the heavyweight division. It was boxing. There was no other aspect of boxing other than that. If you watched anything other than the heavyweight division, it was because you were watching a handful of stars that had been able to break through, or you were a hardcore fan. It was plain and simple. And boxing has changed. The landscape has changed. There's been a lot of smaller weight classes that have been able to accomplish pay-per-view numbers. But just because Floyd was able to put up 1 million almost every single time he went out there, does not mean that that's the benchmark. So I don't think that it's a failure. I think that, as long as it did the money that it was supposed to, well, then it's obviously a success for them. But as far as what the gauge is, I think that we got what we got. We knew it was a fight where Pacquiao was coming in as the favorite, and you can't lean on his star the way that we were able to once before.
I mean, Manny Pacquiao's last couple of numbers in America weren't that far from this. So I really just think
that's the issue. I mean, he did something around this with Rios and Vargas, and none of those dudes hold the candle to Broner. Broner does a consistent 1 million plus. Like, we arguing something that we shouldn't be. We should be agreeing that, yes, this should have done better with these two men. Pacquiao, Vargas should have done this or worse. Pacquiao, Brandon Rios, like I could mention mad Pacquiao pay-per-views that didn't have the B-side popularity of an Adrien Broner. That is big. He is big.
It does those numbers. If the fight would have happened when it should have happened.
Right. Ain't he one of the Migos? I thought y'all said that was one of the biggest rap groups.
Yeah, but listen, this if they would have fought when Pacquiao was popping, when Broner didn't have his the illustrious aspect of who he was taken away from him, if he was still being compared to Floyd, like, yeah, then this fight does better numbers. But when we got this fight, and the truth is we got this fight on the downside of Manny's career at a time when people know exactly what Broner is and who he is. So, in some regards, we're probably lucky to get those numbers, or they are lucky to get those numbers, because this is not the fight that it could have been a few years ago.
Well, I'm also going to go off there and say, like, I don't think it was promoted as it should have been, in addition to the fact that, yes, the fight didn't pose a storyline. It didn't pose a threat. It didn't, even though, like, there was this personality involved, you also got to consider this is a totally different era. You can't compare fights back then 6-7 years ago. That's a big deal when you come to technology growth and streaming and stealing boxing events. Like, illegal boxing pay-per-view streaming has not been what it is now. And even though a lot of people have been doing it, I think it's became more of a main thing. When you go on Twitter, does anyone have the stream? Who got the stream? Who got the stream? Got a stream. So I think that comes in addition to that. And all the other aspects, and maybe a lack of marketing. Like, there was no undercard to sell in addition to it, really. They didn't push all these other things. They were relying on the Manny Pacquiao Broner, and this is what we got. And so we need to look at the market and truly assess that, is Pacquiao still a draw?
I gotta agree with Mario. I think the fight was past his prime. I think Pacquiao's a little bit older now, and after the performance against Mayweather, a lot of people not really on the Pacquiao bandwagon that much anymore. Also, Adrien Broner, we know the fighter that he says he's going to be, but we know what we see in the ring. So that could have turned a lot of people off. I was listening
That's
to
funny.
it.
Didn't you have a parlay on Broner?
Of course I did. I mean, had it going both ways. I mean, that smart. Like, it was like
yeah, but I don't think that affects what he's saying, though.
Like $2-3. I mean, did you have a? Never mind. I ain't going there with you. But it's like,
bro, I said I'm just teasing. It's all right.
I said, okay, we ain't going down that road.
It's all right, Mike.
Ralphie, quit hitting your fucking microphone. Meet yourself, brother.
My man late doing fucking mic checks and shit.
That nigga started testing. Like, damn, homie.
Microphone check 1 2.
Yeah, but
1 2 1 2. Carry on, Mike.
Thank you. Like I was saying, Broner just the guy that we know is not gonna let his hands go, and he was able to fool some people. But after the backlash that I've seen on social media, shout out to Ness for posting that video. On YouTube, I mean, everybody was just like, man, mad as hell. Broner's a fraud. Broner ain't really from the hood. He ain't do the hood justice.
Devin Haney said he won 1 round and a half. That's the ultimate disrespect. Giving somebody a half round? I never even heard that used.
He told me that last night. I said, okay, yeah, I agree with that. But me not knowing that, I thought he meant I'll beat Broner in a round and a half. He said he won a round and a half. I said, David Haney, boy, you disrespectful. But anyway, yeah, man, I don't think the public's going to be fooled by Broner anymore. He's going to have to fight somebody that's not on the level of the guys who he's been fighting for us to say he's going to win. Because right now, time at time, he's not coming up.
Is it a different type of pain? Instead of people just turning on their Showtime and watching it and rooting, that these people spent their own hard money.
Man, dude, you said it perfect. Yep.
If I ain't winning that 250, I'll be mad at the motherfucker right now.
Yo, no, Mike said something that we didn't say at all. He's absolutely right. We cannot overlook the damage that Mayweather Pacquiao had on probably both their careers, but I think people shelled out $100 for the first time in history to see a fight that was
bro.
Straight.
Where your pay-per-view at?
What was it? How much was it?
I want to sell pay-per-views to Mario. If
What wasn't it 100? Wasn't Pacquiao Mayweather 100?
Oh, you talking about?
We talking.
Yeah, no, Mayweather. No, what Mike said earlier was that he thinks that the Mayweather Pacquiao hurt Pacquiao, and I absolutely agree. I think people shelled out $100 for that fight. They, the casuals that had bought into Manny in the past, that was like their last tipping point. They were like, I shelled out that money for this garbage ass fight that wasn't competitive. And now they're trying to build this fight in a road to Manny Pacquiao Mayweather 2, I think they weren't having it. And I can't stress enough. I think Mike's point is just so important. The damage that Mayweather Pacquiao, the whole promotion, the whole lead up, the years of waiting, all of that to pay as much as we did and get what we did, it had to have some damage.
Is this another blow to Manny Pacquiao's pay-per-views? Because it's like you pay for Mayweather Pacquiao, didn't like it. Pay for Mayweather Broner. You know, is this a problem now? Is it because Manny didn't get the knockout? Manny didn't do this old school.
He should have got a knockdown, though. Let's be real. Like, he didn't give a shit for $75.
No, you're right. You're right. I feel like he could have pressed it more. I think there were a couple times where he had him, you know, and it's not to say that Manny didn't go out there and at least try to make a fight. You got to have two people to tango, right? It takes two people to make a fight good. And I think Manny has reached this point in his career where, and he reached it, I think, a long time ago, where if he doesn't have a guy who's going to be willing to exchange, who's going to be willing to go in there, the fight's going to be lackluster. You know what I mean? So on one side, Manny Pacquiao still is a incredible fighter with incredible talent. But on the other side, it's like, you know, could he do that to Thurman? I don't think so. I think he could win, but he definitely wouldn't blow him out. Could he do that to Crawford? I don't know. I don't know if he wins that fight. Could he do it to Spence? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But you know, he's definitely
Spence or Crawford.
Yeah, no. I definitely don't think he does that. But what I'm saying, could he win the fight? Period. I don't know. I don't think so against Crawford. But you know, he definitely doesn't do what he did to Broner to any of those guys. And so,
I don't think he looked good versus Broner. Like, I was saying,
was he
really?
Was he sick? Because
I was saying that live. He didn't look good to me. It was like, it was lackluster to me, bro. You ain't hear me oohing and eyeing. He had that one big left hand. Like, you know, he got to get his shit together. I said that day, man.
Yeah,
you Pacquiao, man. You're supposed to wow us. You ain't even wowing us no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happened?
Well, but you know, and to be fair, he didn't wow us against Margarito, against Claudia, against
wrong.
What? I mean, what are you talking about?
Against Margarito, he broke his orbital bone and he moved up to 154 pounds. He fought him as 151.
Yeah, that's fair.
Let me finish. And then you said Claudia. Man, he made that boy never let his hands go the entire round because he threw that many fucking punches.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is the fights were boring as shit. That's my only point.
The Margarito was boring? I enjoyed that.
I thought the Margarito was one-sided. I thought they were all one-sided. And they were against opponents that really, honestly, didn't deserve to be in there with him.
I mean, Margarito didn't deserve to be in with him.
I think at that point in his career, no.
We could have found someone else to give the Margarito slot to, but I think that was a pretty intriguing fight.
It was intriguing for what it meant,
belt, though, because
it was intriguing because it was at that division. But Margarito was never a junior middleweight. Like, let's be real. Like, you know, that was a trinket that Pacquiao picked up on his way to 8 titles. And I'm not hating, I'm not knocking that. All I'm saying is at the time, there were guys like Khan and Alexander and Victor Ortiz, and he hadn't fought Bradley at that point. Like, there were guys in that division in welterweight, but he moved up because he wanted the title, and those were one-sided fights. This was a one-sided fight, and I thought Manny Pacquiao definitely performed well.
I would have rather had one-sided performance that he gave us in the Claudia or the Margarito fight than this one-sided performance. That's all I'm trying to say. This didn't excite.
I really don't know the difference between the Claudia and this one, other than the fact that there were harder punches landed. Claudia just shelled up the whole time.
In Claudia, he was actually landing flush. This was just like mad flurries, you know what I'm saying? In Claudia, he was landing flush. But whatever, it's neither here nor there.
Manny Pacquiao is going to have to, like, in his next fight, he's going to have to be, I think, more selective on who he fights, because the way he comes out, I mean, it's kind of hard to look good against a guy who's not trying to engage. So I think his next fight, he's going to have to try to find somebody who's known for engaging and who's not afraid to, like, trade, because it seemed like AB just wasn't that guy on Saturday night.
You're right.
I'm just like, where does he go, right? Because it was like, yo, the Horn fight. Oh, nah, man, come on, that was controversial. Nah, man, they robbed Pacquiao. No, they didn't. They ain't rob him. you know, Horn won it. No, Pacquiao won it. Okay, the next fight, Lucas Matisse. Oh man, he was faded. It was in Malaysia. We don't know, man. Was he on steroids? Oh my God. Now this one, again, another fucking asterisk. There's another like, oh yeah, he won, but you know, it wasn't really that good. Like if you rank it above all his performances, we ain't gonna mention this one. So it's like, when is he gonna be that Manny Pacquiao of old? Because that's what he's trying to do. That's the whole point. The campaign is to bring him back to make us want the Floyd fight.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Manny Pacquiao, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
First of all, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Sorry?
I say good afternoon to you.
Yes, good afternoon over here. Anyway, yeah, I'll just step in. Yes, Manny Pacquiao will never be the Pacquiao of old. However, clearly, if I'm reading the title correctly, clearly he's still a big, in conjunction with other fighters, correctly selected, he is still a big draw. He will never be the fighter of old, but there's a discussion to be had about veteran fighters. There was a discussion in the MMA world where fighters who were clearly past their prime and who were expected to retire came out and said, one in particular, a guy named Ken Shamrock, he was clearly past his prime and he was getting a lot of heat for carrying on fighting. And people were saying he's ruining his legacy by continuing to fight. That went on for a while, and eventually he came out with a big article, a big statement. And what he said was this: he said, "Listen, I've been doing this thing for most of my life. I've clearly passed my prime. I acknowledge that. However, I can still function at a certain level. I can still make money at a certain level. So why should I quit doing something just because I'm not the best at it anymore?"
No, I'm gonna interrupt real quick, and we can switch back to box. Ken Shamrock lost like 12 times in a row. Manny Pacquiao is still like if I saw Manny Pacquiao lose like 4 times in a row, 3 times in a row, I'd be like, all right, that dude lost like 15 times in a row.
At his age, he can fight. He can
that
lose
was
twice in a row.
That's a health concern, and that was like a totally different market. So this is where it's just like, boxing's very unforgiving to a degree. At a certain point, how many times, like Broner isn't an exception. He did something in boxing that's just truly not seen in a long time, where someone's record in their last 7 fights didn't equal up to, pay-per-view, So this is just a totally different market. And I get what you're saying, but I really think that if he never got the Matisse knockout, that this spectacle that we had of Broner and Pacquiao probably wouldn't have been like this,
Oh no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, and
I want to come back in on that.
People were assuming he was back because of that knockout, but I actually want to address you, Rafi, because you said, according to the title, you feel like Pacquiao is still a draw. Was the word that you used?
Yeah, could have done. Carry on. Yeah.
Don't you feel that Pacquiao is bigger than both Wilder and Fury, and Broner is definitely as big or does the same amount of rate? Well, not the same, not anymore, but he does over 1 million on Showtime, where, occasionally Wilder will do 1.8, 1.6, but I think that the A and B side on this pay-per-view that just took place Saturday night is a much stronger name, commodity, notoriety in the boxing public than Wilder Fury. You don't think?
Right.
Well, clearly the numbers, if I read the title correctly, the numbers clearly indicate that that's correct. Clearly, they drew, somebody correct me if I'm mistaken, but clearly they drew bigger numbers. Clearly, they have better name recognition, and so clearly that's a big factor. That's a big factor. Name recognition, people know who they are. So that's major.
Then don't you think it was a failure then? Because they are bigger than Wilder Fury. Wilder Fury are novice. That was their first pay-per-view. Pacquiao's been here forever. The last 10 years, we know Pacquiao, and Broner has been a phenom for all the wrong reasons, right? We don't know why he draws so much on Showtime.
Is your question to me, Was it a failure?
In general,
Listen.
that's been my argument since we came on. Like, people are like, yo, this is a success, Manny, because the writer that we're basing this show off of, his tweet is saying, well, Manny's still a pay-per-view success. And I'm thinking to myself, well, like, how much of a success when you got such a strong B-side? Like, this is a strong B, this is an A- side. Because Miguel
Cotto B-side when it comes to talking, but not when it comes to fighting.
Cotto does not represent what Broner represents in a pay-per-view promotion.
Let's be honest. I mean, I don't know about the others on the panel, but my view when I heard that this fight was made was I was entirely underwhelmed. I was not in any way excited to see this fight. No way. Broner doesn't excite me anyway. He gets in there and he doesn't throw. I admire his evasive skills, but fucking hell, I mean, you gotta have offensive skills as well. Broner does not. I can't imagine a fight that you could mention that Broner would be in that I'd be excited for.
Yeah, look,
and I think that's why you guys got it for free over there, you know, because it's just the market's totally different.
Dictated it that way, but
no, but
I agree with Ron too, though.
Pay-per-views for free. What do you mean? That's just how it works, isn't it?
No, they've had pay-per-views from U.S. fights over there. Manny Pacquiao's done Ricky Hatton, you know. Obviously, that was a UK
Canelo,
fighter.
Triple G. Still
Yeah,
paid
but
for
that was a UK fighter.
Okay, but like Mike said, Canelo Triple G too, wasn't that pay-per-view over there?
Yes, it was.
After you had to pay for Canelo Triple G too?
Canelo Triple G 2. Where did I watch that? I watched that at a bar. I didn't watch it at home.
Had to pay. In the chat,
chat, help us out.
Canelo Triple G 2. I need to know that.
Listen, I'm going to say this real quick. I'm going to say this real quick, okay? Because first of all, I see Jack in the chat, and if you want your point pointed out in the chat to become a mastermind, I see him pointing out that these numbers are an indictment on the heavyweight division. Okay, first of all, real quick, he's talking about the fact that the fight generated 30+ million, and Broner got paid 2.5. He's talking about that's a slave contract. That's a fair enough point right there for a different subject. But this is what I'm going to say as far as it being compared to Wilder Fury. Okay, this was Wilder's launching off point against a fighter that relatively people did not know in the U.S., especially casual fans. This is Wilder's jumping off point. We are going to be talking to these numbers the way that we talked about Roy Jones the other day. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If Wilder does what he's supposed to do and he gets these fights with Joshua and he gets back in there with Fury and he gets in there with maybe Ortiz again or Big Baby or some heavyweight emerges, this is just the tipping point. These numbers are going to skyrocket. Of course, he's not the kind of fighter or pay-per-view star that Manny Pacquiao is, because Manny Pacquiao has been doing pay-per-view stars before Wilder was even fighting live opponents. Okay, so Wilder's just starting out. This isn't an indictment, I don't think, on the heavyweight division. I don't think that this is a point that we can hold against the heavyweights like, oh, here comes, washed up Manny Pacquiao and he did, more than Fury Wilder. I think Ness's point that he was trying to make to Ralphie is that this fight was so much bigger namesake and didn't do as big a numbers. So is that an indictment on the heavyweight division, or is that to say that the heavyweight division is on the rise? Because I think that Pacquiao's numbers were aligned with the market share, aligned with market expectations. So you have those expectations. Then you have Wilder coming in, making his case to be a pay-per-view star. Because once he fights Joshua, that's it, folks. It's over. He is going to be a pay-per-view star at that point. It's going to break over 1 million. Most of his pay-per-views at that point will be in the higher six figures. And, that's it. I mean, obviously he'll need an opponent, and hopefully an American heavyweight will emerge. It's just going to be bigger numbers. I think this is just the start for the heavyweight division. I don't think that, it's an indictment.
But yeah, the chat looks like it says Canelo Triple G 2 was pay-per-view.
And the first one, Eddie Hearn had to make a decision about, because it was either get that one or run with the McGregor Mayweather pay-per-view, and Eddie chose that one. So I think the other one went to BT Sports, and it was also pay-per-view. It just depends on
I think the first one was free. I think the first Canelo Triple G was free. The second one, I think, was when they actually had to pay for it.
It just depends on the level of opponent and the opposition, because at the same time, Manny Pacquiao versus Broner is not the same thing as Canelo versus Triple G. So I can see why they got it free overseas.
Also, you have to remember that. First of all, let me come back to IQ's point, rebuttal to my point.
Rob, put the mic in front of you, brother, please.
Yeah. First of all, let me come back on IQ's point, rebuttal to my point. Yeah, IQ. Basically, what I was saying was that it was a more exaggerated case. Ken Shamrock's case was a more exaggerated case than Pacquiao. Pacquiao's just started slipping, so he still commands a crowd. So that's my rebuttal to that. So he's still got some fights in him where he will still draw a crowd. He hasn't slipped off to the point where people aren't gonna watch him anymore. Secondly, coming back to the heavyweight, how does this reflect on the heavyweight scene? Well, the heavyweight scene was killed by Klitschko. We know that. People over here weren't so enthused about it. That's UK. People in the US even less so, to the point where some of his fights weren't even being shown in the US, if I am to understand the situation correctly. So effectively, you're muted.
I don't remember a fight that we didn't see.
Yeah, no. He's saying that fights that the U.S. networks didn't carry, and he's absolutely correct. Yeah, Klitschko was stopped carried on U.S. networks.
That is my understanding.
So you're not talking about Pacquiao?
No, I'm talking
he's
about
Klitschko.
Oh.
I'm talking about the heavyweight scene over there. So the Klitschko's kind of killed the heavyweight scene and muted it over here in the UK to an extent, but over in the US, if my understanding is correct, it pretty much annihilated the heavyweight scene. People stopped watching the heavyweights. The glamour divisions became the lighter division, if my understanding is correct. So now what you have in the US is you have the heavyweight division is just coming back. It has been muted. It was killed off by Klitschko. It's just coming back. So these numbers, I believe, are a reflection of that.
So I want to address some people like on different chat comments, Twitter, Instagram sections, stuff like that. There's a rumor of a $20 million guarantee. Ron, did you read anything for Manny getting a $20 million guarantee?
You know what? I don't know. I have to go Google that.
Because I find that hard to believe for the people that are saying that when Dan Rayfield reported that,
I thought it was 10.
that Manny received 10 million. So if Manny received 10 million the day that Dan reported it, the word guarantee can't be used if you're speaking of this hypothetical 20, because then that would mean two different payments, one before, one after the fight. So fucking morons out there that try to like spew lies, like think hard about the shit you're gonna say before it gets so easily debunked. It's so corny. Let's go out to
it was 10 million guarantee. It was, yeah. There was no 20 million guarantee.
People, you know what it is? Everybody wants to down how good or bad this did. So it's like, well, wait, you're not talking about the 20 million. So that means that this is not a success. This is a failure because you had to pay Manny so much. But it's like, are we paying him 10 million guaranteed and another 10 in the back? Then I would run with that story. But if you're telling me he got 20 million guaranteed
and then still got more on the back, like no way.
No. If you're saying he allegedly got 20 million guaranteed, but in Nevada they only reporting 10, someone here lying.
No, there's no way that happened.
Exactly.
And also to add to that, I think the more damaging thing for PBC, and if you want to go that route, is their networks. If I think their ratings for
UK guy Leonard Sterling, it was not 10 million, it was 20 million. Keith Idek. All right, so Dan and Keith need to discuss.
I saw Lance Pugmire put something out or something else too.
Mostly everybody I saw reported 10 million.
So
I don't remember.
According to UK's own Leonard Sterling,
but
who should be calling in instead of typing so much.
But with that being said, I think if you guys want to look at what would be more damaging for them, I think it's their networks. If they do poor numbers on Fox and Showtime, I think that's where it really would hurt them. A pay-per-view is a pay-per-view. It's a totally different market. The idea of going on pay-per-view is to generate the extra money. We don't know what that will equal out, if it's a plus or not. Many people thought Wilder and Fury wasn't a success, and somehow when they look at the numbers and then what they've been putting out, they said it was a success. So I don't understand those numbers.
We got a tweet from Jack is the Truth. It was just as Ness said, 10 million up front, 10 million on the back end. It's not 20 million guaranteed overall. He gets 10 million up front, then whatever pay-per-view revenue is, it tries to equal up to 20 million. So it's not 20 million guaranteed.
And then that could have
That's
been
what I figured too. I mean, when Ness said that.
And when you look at percentage, like we don't know what Broner and Pacquiao percentage was. Maybe Broner really got a really bad percentage split on it, but an opportunity. So let's say if Pacquiao got a 70-30 or something huge out of it because it was Pacquiao and Broner took a lower.
I think they gave Broner a percent. I think they gave him a dollar amount. Like, look, you're getting $2 million and you're getting $1 off every pay-per-view sold.
Possibly. So who knows? So we don't know what exactly that all equates to right now. I'm sure enough Pacquiao got the most of it.
I don't think they'll give him a percentage.
And he didn't complain, did he? And why not?
$1 though,
because they
God.
allow him and make them.
Leonard Sterling is saying Steve Kim is another source, but are you saying Steve Kim reported 20 million? Because Steve Kim works for ESPN. That would mean that their editor posted 2 conflicting articles. I don't know, man. But let's go out to the callers because we have to get to New York City for fight week. We will be seeing Keith Thurman. Who else is there? Adam Wanaki.
Gerald Washington.
Gerald
Lopez.
Little B-Hop.
90
Oh, yeah. Little B-Hop's going to be there.
So many people going to be there. So,
Marcellus Wilder, too. He's on that Keith Thurman card.
I ain't see him on the list, though.
No, he is on there. I saw it.
I know what I'm talking about. Mention that.
Okay, so let's do this.
Remember to rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey
60
installation,
seconds.
visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
Subscribe to youtube.com/ThaBoxingVoice for the latest and greatest interviews with your favorite fighters.
Going out to our mastermind, Jay, in Washington, D.C. Good morning, my friend.
Dollar DiBiase Productions.
Jay Hardcore Boxing. You know that shit about boxing.
BoxingVoice.com. Okay.
Good morning, my boxing brethren. Great show thus far. I was sitting here thinking about, these pay-per-views. And,
10
when
seconds.
you really look at it, it's all about the ingredients that you put in it. Because, everybody knew Broner was going to get his ass whooped. So I really don't think it was just a real strong urge to buy that pay-per-view. One thing about us over here in America, we like violence. And if we think somebody really gonna get their ass kicked in, a good damn fight, we gonna pay for it. Now, I don't think that Spence has more notoriety than Broner, because Broner is a big personality. But if you put Spence against Pacquiao, I feel that does more pay-per-views, because Pacquiao gonna have to fight if he gets in there with Spence. And Spence going for the knockout. He about man down. So I feel like something like that could at least do 600,000-700,000 pay-per-views. It's all about that ingredient.
Cut it. Jay,
real,
that boomerang stats.
Real quick, Keith Idec did put out on his Twitter. It's in between comments, but he said his guarantee was at least 20 million, not 10 million. Then he goes, I'm hurt if this means you don't read boxing scene religiously. I reported that Friday. So
this is crazy.
Again. How could it be a guarantee if you're not getting it when they gave you the first installment?
I'm just reading the tweet. That's what I'm just saying.
All right. That's what
this is crazy to me.
You can be a writer and get a tip and write a story and still be wrong. If Nevada only said they reported 10 million, then again, there's a tax problem. Unless someone can tell me it could be done differently. I'm not in that business. Tell me that somehow you can say it's a guarantee and then be, 2 different ones.
It's kind of fucked up too when you think about Manny's tax issues here in the U.S. and then you got conflicting reports out there. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Y'all don't start that shit now.
But anyway, let's go to another mastermind. Javier, Javier in Alabama. Talk to me.
Alabama.
I want Joshua. Joshua, come and see me, baby. If he doesn't hide it, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Anything that's better hear me, they gonna do. ThaBoxingvoice.com.
Yo, hey, y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Hey, so y'all, so somebody said that it was an indictment on the heavyweight division that it ain't popping yet or some shit like that. Is that what people
that was Jack?
That was yes.
So I got a question. I mean, if you want to do this, do the math, because the fight was only $65 for HD here for Pacquiao Broner, right? But it was $75 for Deontay versus Fury that we already
I paid 25 for both of them bitches.
So it was what?
I paid 75 for both of them bitches.
Why the fuck you pay 75? I don't pay $65, Mike.
Well, you got standard.
Yeah, you ain't got
No.
no HD.
Yes, you did. Don't say no. You definitely got SD.
He got that regular. He had a little Gumby on the screen and shit.
Why you gotta lie? Why you gotta lie on the show? We know damn well that's SD.
Hey, I'm gonna check, but I'm
now you gotta check, motherfucker. Don't your eyes can't the fuck?
Bro, I'm driving, bro.
Now you driving.
Bro, people work, I work, y'all chilling. I'm working.
Oh, this ain't work, huh?
Y'all chilling.
Cut it.
And then he cuts him off. And then he cuts him off.
Mastermind Joseph, talk to me.
Man, what's up, guys? Just want to let y'all know how cold it is here in Texas. 18 degrees when I got on the truck this morning. But anyways, I think we're just really overlooking Pacquiao's value. I mean, wasn't the whole argument in the Mayweather-Pacquiao negotiations about the split? Mayweather said he should get more because of Pacquiao's deteriorating numbers. I thought that was a big part of the argument. So I just think we're just overvaluing it. I think it did better than I expected, to be honest. But people seem to like watching Broner get his ass kicked. Because he gonna keep talking, so that's always sweeter. But real quick, hey Mario, you tripping though, man? Margarito Pacquiao was hella interesting. Danny was in there double tapping the man's head, telling the ref to stop the fight. Hey, he was beating the man so bad, he was telling the ref to stop the fight.
He was. I might have undervalued that.
Yo, this wording that Ron keeps sending, Ron keeps trying to make a case for his favorite.
No. I'm actually trying to clarify.
When we see that motherfucker, we're gonna talk. I want to find out what does at least mean.
I'm trying to help you and clarify.
I'm not saying you're not, Ron. I'm just speaking out loud. What does at least mean?
Minimum.
Did you read into the article? Because I think this article is like all over the place.
Jesus, Ron, how could I read? You just posted it, and
okay, exactly. So let me read it before you say it. I'm saying
off the title, bro. At least, like, isn't that open for interpretation?
Well, open it up because these titles are like all over the place.
I'm gonna open it up in between calls. You read it like you said. I'll go to another caller, then you come back in with whatever it is you think we need to hear.
I got it right here. It says, like you just screamed out. It says the additional money, at least $10 million, would be paid to the Filipino superstar from various revenue streams, including Filipino television rights, American pay-per-view revenue from Showtime and sponsorships. So it looks like it was $10 million guaranteed, and the other $10 million came from elsewhere.
Your minimum $20 million.
So depending on how you look at it, it said pay-per-view revenue. So there's no guarantee until the pay-per-view was actually sold.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't guarantee what you don't know.
Exactly. So I'm
is the 10 million. The sheep are grabbing onto 20 to say that Pacquiao under Al Heyman was a failure. That's all.
Well, it's not the sheep. There's some viable reporters saying it. That's why I'm so confused that it's at least 20 million guarantee. It's crazy.
It's just they just need to clarify specifically.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is nuts.
I'm getting all type of contradictions everywhere.
That is verbiage. That is not guaranteed. Listen, That is the writer telling you that Pacquiao is guaranteed to at least make 20. This is not Pacquiao's contract.
Yeah, exactly.
This writer, look, based off what Ron just said, I don't got to read it. He's saying that the writer is pulling numbers from everywhere. When Pacquiao gets Filipino money and Canada money, and he should at least, the writer is adding it up. This is not Al saying, I guarantee you 20 million. Come on, guys. Let's be smarter than this.
No, I don't think it. I think it's just it's being reported in a weird way.
People that
no. I know. I'm not even. See, look. We're on the same side here. I think the guarantee was 10. I think that they're talking like, oh, he's guaranteed. Like, oh, he'll at least make, or oh yeah, no, he's gonna make way past that. But it's like, what's the guarantee? What was in the contract saying? This is your guarantee. The bottom line. Now you'll make this much on the back end with pay-per-views or with hot dog money or whatever. But yeah, it's weird. But my only problem is that this is being reported in this way by the best writers in the business. Like, it's crazy.
I just say open up the article, read it. You'll clearly see that there's a specific 10 million separated apart from the other 10 million. If not, it would just be lumped as 20.
If you did make 20 million, what would be the issue with that?
No, it's just talking about the fact that there's a guaranteed plus pay-per-view upside. There's really a 10 million.
The issue would be if you guarantee the fighter 20 million and you only sold 400,000 pay-per-view buys, there's an issue. Don't you think? Because the networks take half of that. So then you got to pay that fighter 20 million plus the other fighter, plus all the promotional costs and the press conferences and everything else that's under that.
Site venue, everything, yeah.
All the announcers and
the 400,000 doesn't get split
we got
along
fight
ways.
week. We got fight week.
Yes,
we going out to NO in the New Orleans. Shout out to my drivers.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you a young fella, and he comes from the Magnolia.
What's happening, people?
What to do with the business?
Who that nation, you heard me?
Shout out. Get out with them sorry ass niggas.
Shout out to all my Saints fans out there, you heard me? Know what I'm saying? Hold your head up. We know what the real NFC champions is.
Put that brown bag on your head again.
Man, look, man, you already know what it is, Mike, bro. You need to stay in your lane, bro. You heard me? But look, check this out, man. Adrien Broner, bro. Next, you already know where I'm about to go with this shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? The people came on here. Mike was the leader of the sheep. You know what I'm saying? Making everybody think this was going to be a hell of a fight. You know what I'm saying? Putting the money on Broner. He put the house on Broner, bro, and that's the outcome that you come out with. When you listen to all the talk and the foolishness, bro, and you don't focus on the boxing, that's what the fuck gonna happen. You heard me? I'm tired of dudes like him. I'm gonna say it again, Amir Khan, Berto, and Olivecito Lopez, people who not doing.
Cut it. Going out to what looks like a first-time call or someone that we haven't written, but now we got the banging list that will never fail us. So 513-225, 513-225. Who's this?
Yo, it's Oliver.
Oh, shit. Oliver, what up, Boomeranger?
That nigga in the banging list that would never fail us. He don't know who fucking Oliver is.
Oliver, this is a new number. This is a new number. You know what? He just sent this on Skype the other day, but I never saved it because Skype is a completely different computer.
No, it's a different number. No, I'm hella busy right now, so I'm just listening.
All right, Dan, that means you already in Cincinnati with this shitty number. No! I hope you took some staying home with you, Oliver. Damn, no more Oliver in Bermuda. He's now Oliver from Cincinnati. That shit don't even sound fun no more, bruh.
Oliver like an hour and a half that way. You know what I'm saying? Big ups Oliver.
Yo, Joe in Denver, talk to us.
Hey, my bad. I'm at work.
All right, Joe. Thanks for calling in and thanks for listening, brother. Appreciate it. We going to Elijah on Skype. Elijah.
Can you hear me?
We hear you. Lower yourself just a bit, baby. You're too loud.
All right, cool. Look, I ain't got no problem with none of you on the set over there, yeah. But you've been grinding on me for ages, yeah. You're a bit too rude and you're a bit too biased. So I want to have one conversation with you, and if you got the balls, you'll rebuttal me without cutting me off when I'm saying a good point, yeah. And all I come on for is to listen to the bullshit about Deontay Wilder and AJ. Yeah.
Well, we're not talking about that today.
All right, so you're gonna cut me off already?
Well, you want to stick to the script?
You know what? I'll call back another day when you are talking about Deontay Wilder, because it'll probably be tomorrow. So I'll call back another day.
No problem, Elijah. Thanks for calling in. We're going out to Michael in the UK.
Hello, guys. How's it going?
Good.
Another day, another news about Manny Pacquiao and pay-per-views. So, hey, let's get straight to it then. Yeah, I mean, Manny Pacquiao, I think this is good. I think the 400 pay-per-view buys is good, considering who he faced. I mean, let's face it, Broner's never been on pay-per-view before, and he's not like a pay-per-view star himself. So Pacquiao facing against him, that's a good number to start off with. And when you're comparing it to Deontay Wilder, you have to look at who they're facing. I mean, you're facing, Deontay Wilder's facing the lineal champion, the best heavyweight in the division. There's Wilder, Tyson Fury, and AJ. So he's facing one of the best. Whereas, we're talking about Adrien Broner. I mean, at 147, he's not even in the top 10. And he made 400,000 pay-per-view buys. So if you're looking at it in that way, that's good. And considering if he fights Keith Thurman next, Spence, Crawford, those fighters, then you would expect it to be more than that. So if you're looking at it in comparison to who he's faced, where he is in the division, to compare to that, then I would say that's a good start in regard for him being that.
Cut it.
Javier Boomeranger.
There you go.
Ralphie, why you ain't jump in? You was just excited last week talking about lineal. This man just said, "Hey, Tyson Fury's the lineal champion," so it should have been a lot of pay-per-views. Come on, Ralphie, where you at?
Well, regarding your first point, when you called in originally, what I said was that the heavyweight division was killed in the US, was killed by Klitschko. Certain numbers of his fights you weren't even getting over there. So as a result of that, the heavyweight division in terms of sales and what have you is now in the US is now in a kind of fledgling state.
All right, Ralph, you talking bullshit. I'm
talking bullshit. Carry on.
You was just excited talking about the lineal championship don't matter because it was gifted to Fury. When your boy just came on and said, well, Fury's the lineal champion, so it should have been a huge pay-per-view because Deontay Wilder was fighting the lineal champion. You ain't say a damn word. But
so what's your point?
Why you ain't jump on that? Because you get excited talking about Fury.
Well, talk about what excites you. Talk about what excites you.
He's just telling you to be consistent. We're going to Jack.
Well, I'm consistent.
Proof.
What's good, man? Mario, the reason why I said it's an indictment on the heavyweight division is because two undefeated heavyweights in Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder came together, so there should have been more interest. I mean, if we're looking at two undefeated welterweights in Keith Thurman and Errol Spence, who do not have as much notoriety as Pacquiao and AB, their pay-per-view numbers would have done much, much, much better. So it doesn't matter what you've achieved in the past. If you're fading, it should simply be about the intrigue of two giants come together. So for me, it has to be an indictment on the heavyweight division.
You can't put an indictment on a heavyweight division when you have a known commodity, a proven commodity, as Manny Pacquiao is.
Manny Pacquiao's last pay-per-view was what? When was his last pay-per-view?
Vargas.
He's a known commodity. How many fights ago was that? So Jeff Horn.
One fight ago. Jeff Horn, then Vargas, brother. Thought you was a boxer.
No, there was Matisse, Horn, and then.
Oh yeah, 2 fights ago. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So 2016, 2017.
he's a fledgling fighter. He's fading rather, not fledgling.
Doesn't matter. He still has his fan base of pay-per-view supporters. Wilder was his first pay-per-view, and he doesn't have that yet. So wait till
on the boomerang.
Yeah, man. Look, man, check this out, bro. Pacquiao numbers been going down. We already knew this already. Broner he already lost every big fight he was in before this fight. We already knew what was going to happen. If it would have been Errol Spence or any one of the top welterweights that's at the top, it would have been a different story. Even with Terrence Crawford, even though he had low pay-per-views when he went on his first debut, it still would have did better, man, because he has a perception of win big fights, and so does the other top heavy welterweights. You know what I'm saying? So it was, man. Look, this was just a test run to see if Mayweather was gonna come back and fight the winner, man. That's my call. It's that simple.
All right, it's that time, B. Oh, so final thoughts.
Yo, I'll say this. I think that if Manny Pacquiao and the rest of us expect him to get to the once prominent million buys or even close to it, he has to fight Spence, Thurman, Crawford. It's his only hope, unless he goes the Mayweather route. And it'll break a million. It will, and it's going to be sad because they're going to rob us again. And I say rob us when I'm literally handing over my money before they pull out their gun. But I just think that, you know, Manny Pacquiao is trying to chase something that he once had. And from a competition standpoint, we need to know if you're worth that money, then we need to know that you're that fighter. And the only way for us to know that you're that fighter is to get in there with the best there is. So, you know, you want those paydays, then you got to put in that work.
Let me go to one caller real quick. He hasn't called in a while. Alumni. Listen, Blackface, we're on drive-by. It's 1 minute. I got fight week to get to. Let's do it.
We're on the boxing voice.
I always love those Blackface.
There's nothing
I don't
wrong
like
about
these
taking
motherfuckers.
punishment.
Put the foot on this motherfucker.
Yeah. It's Blackface calling in. In relation to the pay-per-views and stuff, that's just standard stuff these days. I think, you know, Pacquiao's an anomaly, as you all say, but, you know, the Wilder Fury numbers, to me, are still good numbers. For the first pay-per-views doing 300 or whatever it did, that's a good pay-per-view thing. But yeah, just thought I'd catch you on a quick one. I'm out of here, man. Make sure you don't fall for anybody that's not ready to catch you.
Blackface.
Yo, I remember Blackface used to hit us with them quotes. Yo, he's so good with that shit.
His little outro.
Yeah.
Let me see here. We got, looks like KO'd is on the line, waiting for him to connect.
Well, yeah, like anyway, Pacquiao needs to step up the level of competition. The Broner fight wasn't enough.
He's definitely not going to step up the level of competition. He's 40, man. What he's going to do is a little 3-fight deal and get the best fight he can. And hopefully the last fight will be the Mayweather rematch.
Yeah, and I'll get my quick final thought on the whole thing. It's definitely going to be a test run because we know the second fight is going to be with one of the top guys or the biggest draw of all, Mayweather. So we're going to take this for what it is and see where it goes and who we faces. And then this will also give us another barometer what pay-per-view numbers look like from here on out in the era of popular streaming. But, yep, that's it. That's my final thoughts. Ron G, FIQ.
Real quick, let me get out to Boomeranger.
Take them on if you know the words. Come on.
Yo.
KO'd, what up?
How's it going?
Good.
Yo, Nestor, you're not gonna come for me today, yeah?
Nah, man.
All right, cool. I got your message, man. Who's laughing there?
No, that's me, man. I'm sorry, KO. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That was funny though.
All right, cool, man. Listen, this pay-per-view business, yeah, at the end of the day, I think what you people don't want to admit is the fact that Wilder and Fury, I think what they said was that it had to do, 250,000 pay-per-views for it to be a success. And I think that was due to the amount of promotion they put into it. And AB and Manny Pacquiao wasn't even promoted that much. So for it to even do more, in spite of the promotions, I mean, that shows that pay-per-view in America is not as booming as, some of you people want to make it seem like. When we keep saying there's more money in America, that thing is not actually true, because you still don't have that many casuals buying pay-per-views in America. That's the reality. Let's face it.
Yo,
anyway, we're not going to go more into
Manny Pacquiao numbers is like 1.2.
Dollar signs. That's what makes it, brother. Dollar signs.
1.2 in the UK.
We still hold everything.
It's dollar signs, but you need to get as many people buying it, right?
Are you comparing Adrien Broner and Manny Pacquiao?
Again, dollar signs doesn't really matter.
Again, why does it matter if a bunch of people are buying it, if the fighters are getting what they want and we still get to see it?
Okay, so I ask you a question. They said that Wilder made 14 million. I've done the maths. I don't even think that's possible, because if they have to do 250,000 just to break even, that means that if the pay-per-view was 70,000 pay-per-views, that's just about 3 million, and Wilder's basic cost was 4 million. So how do you take into consideration
the pay-per-view?
You know what I don't get? I don't get why there isn't a report out saying that Showtime had a unsuccessful pay-per-view and how they're bleeding money and they need to recoup what they lost in this Broner versus Pacquiao fight, because Wilder Fury was so unsuccessful. But KO, there was a it was a drive-by. We were given 1 minute. Obviously gave you more because we were on our way out. But yeah, we have yet to see one report that this was unsuccessful. But that's what every single caller, chatter wants us to believe. If Espinoza and Showtime are not upset, if Espinoza and Showtime are okay, and they're so okay that they're doing a pay-per-view in December, then they turned around and did one in January, and now they're going to turn around and do one again in March, I think you guys need to check yourselves, man. I would say real quick,
pay-per-view.
I would also say, I don't think comparing Adrien Broner Manny Pacquiao pay-per-view would be compared to the undisputed linear, like everything of a heavyweight division. I think that's going to sell more than this fight did.
Yeah, definitely it will. Absolutely. That's what I was saying earlier is, this is the heavyweight division's pay-per-view numbers are just the beginning. We are going to see the tide change.
They got to strike now, though. I think they're waiting
you're right.
and losing momentum.
You're right. But I still believe that whatever we're seeing now is only going to pick up on the rise. Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, regardless of whether they fight, not regardless of whether they fight, when they do fight, no matter which one wins or loses, they're both going to become bigger stars because of it.
Looks like we got Jay on a boomerang. Jay, what up?
Yeah, man. When we look at these pay-per-views, man, we got to still look at all the stuff that's hidden. You got sponsors. You got people paying money on those shorts. I mean, it's so much back-end money. We got the
movie theaters,
people that come to the actual fight. I mean, it's just so much hidden money that we don't get to see. So I really think this is a success. And when they say that they break even at 250, that's counting in how much they're paying the fighters too. So everything else on top of that is gravy. I mean, come on now, we got to be more smart out here.
Nah, we can't believe him. He's lying. Espinoza said 250 is a success for them. He's lying, bro. We can't believe him.
Okay, well, if we can't believe him, that's something different. But I mean,
sarcasm, Jay.
It's about 31 million.
Jay, like he just taking a word for it.
It was sarcasm because that's the argument. That's the argument from the other side. They're saying, why would we believe Espinoza? He's a weasel. But Jay, we got to go. Catch you in New York. You already know. We are out. My name is Nestor Gibbs. Final thoughts. Hey, man, again, if the writers that are out there that know more than me are saying this is a success and Manny is a pay-per-view star, well, then he is. I just can't wait to see what's next. I hope that he continues to strike while the iron is hot as well. No need in letting things die down. Catch us right here tomorrow, 9 a.m., if not 8:30 because of Fight Week. We're trying to do every single day at Fight Week. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at NestGTO.
Follow me at Mario Munguia on Twitter and Instagram, and we will see y'all in the morning. Patreon, we do have a Prospect Wednesday later, so.
Yes, it's Raf Dawkins, Coach Raf on Instagram. That's Coach_Raf on Instagram. And catch you next time.
Mr. Gross.
Gross 1911 on IG and Gross 2312 on Twitter. Sorry about that.
Peace.